What's up, everyone? This is the Year in Wrestling Part 2, 1991 video that I'm going to do for you right now. And I don't know how many are going to watch this. I'm assuming only hardcore wrestling fans are watching my Year in Wrestling video series of videos about the year in wrestling. I'm going to do 91 all the way up to 2015. I don't know when I'll be done. Hopefully I'll have 92 and 93 done by the end of August. Or maybe before the end of August I'll have 93 done. I'm going to talk about, in this video, WrestleMania 7 pay-per-view WCW Super Brawl, the first Super Brawl. WCW Great American Bash 91, and a Clash of Champions that was held, I believe, in June or July of 91. Here we go. First thing I want to say before I talk about WrestleMania 7, a lot of the guys in WWF, in my opinion, I may have said this already in part 1, but I'm going to say it again. A lot of the guys were lazy. A lot of the old veterans were lazy that were working in the WWF at the time. I mean, a lot of the matches were not exciting. They were pretty boring in the WWF in 91. But in 93, 94, 95, the WWF and the matches got much better and more entertaining. Thanks to the new generation era. Guys like 1-2-3 Kid, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, Diesel, British Bulldog, Sid, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, guys like that. And in my opinion, in 91, WCW had better in-ring action, and their matches were just better. But there were a lot of great matches in the WWF in 91. Some of my favorite matches were Bret Hart versus Ric Flair. And in 1991, right after Ric Flair came into the WWF, it was probably in September or October, Bret Hart was the IC champion. He just won it from Mr. Perfect. And I believe this Bret Hart versus Ric Flair match, you can see it on Bret Hart's Dungeon Collection DVD. It's a Bret Hart versus Ric Flair match. I believe it is taped for Coliseum Home Video back in 1991. It's a great match. Bret Hart was IC champ. Ric Flair just came in WWF. And they had a great one-on-one match. Another match I really enjoyed was on another Coliseum Home Video release. I don't remember. I think the name of the video was Invasion 1992. WWF Invasion 92 Coliseum Home Video. Ric Flair was, it was 1991 match, but it was put on a 92 video. Anyways, Ric Flair just came in WWF. This was around November or October 91, I believe. Took on Shawn Michaels. He was part of the Rockers still, and they had a great one-on-one match. Another match I really loved in 91 in the WWF was Warrior versus Macho Man at WrestleMania 7. Great match. Really good. Another match, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect from SummerSlam 91. Great match. And I'll talk about some of the pay-per-views in the WWF that were my favorite in the next video, in Part 3. Part 3 will be the final part of the 1991 that I talk about. On to WrestleMania 7 now. I won't bore you anymore. You probably are already bored, unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan and you want to hear what I got to say about 91. WrestleMania 7 took place from Los Angeles, California. It was supposed to be held at the Los Angeles Coliseum football field, and they were supposed to draw 100,000 people. I believe Vince wanted to draw 100,000 people to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Well, that did not happen because the WWF at the time in 1991 could not draw 100,000 people. They were not going to draw 100,000. The ticket sales were really bad, and so they decided to move it into the sports arena in Los Angeles, California. It was not going to be on the football field at the old Coliseum. I believe the Oakland Raiders used to play there, or they were the Los Angeles Raiders at the time. And I don't even know if they still use that Los Angeles Coliseum field anymore. But in 91, for WrestleMania 7, you were not going to draw 100,000 people. You weren't even going to draw 90,000 or 50,000. You did not have Hulk Hogan on the show versus Andre the Giant. It was not 1987. It was not WrestleMania 3. The card was not a WrestleMania 3 card. It was a very weak WrestleMania. Was WrestleMania 7. The only good things that happened, three things that happened that I enjoyed, 3 matches: Jake the Snake versus Amato, blindfold match. That was great. It was innovative to put on a blindfold match in 91 on a pay-per-view, I thought. I also enjoyed Savage versus Warrior in the retirement match. That was great, awesome stuff they did in that match. They worked very well together, did Warrior and Macho Man. And that's probably thanks to Macho Man. He probably caught every spot in the match and had it planned out. He probably planned every spot out like he planned out in WrestleMania 3, Savage versus Steamboat. Macho Man was a perfectionist, so I'm sure he planned out every single spot in the WrestleMania 7 match with Warrior, and he made it great. And Macho Man brought the best out in the Ultimate Warrior in their retirement match at WrestleMania 7, for sure. Warrior was not a great worker, but if you give him a guy that has the talent of the Macho Man, Randy Savage, he had a good match, very good match. You give Warrior an opponent like Rick Rude, he could have a good match. And he did with a lot of the time with Rick Rude and Macho Man. He also had a good match, surprisingly, with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. I don't know who called that match. It was probably Hogan because he was a veteran. Okay, WrestleMania 7. First match to kick off the pay-per-view was the Rockers defeating the Barbarian and Haku. Barbarian and Haku were part of the Heenan family. The Heenan family was still around. I believe Bobby Heenan was at ringside managing still during this match. I think he's at ringside managing. And after this match, the Rockers won. After it, Bobby Heenan went back to commentary with the Gorilla Monsoon. I believe Hacksaw Jim Duggan was on commentary for a little bit during WrestleMania 7 also. So, you had Rockers win in the opening match of WrestleMania 7. Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado, defeated Dino Bravo in 3 minutes. That match sucked. Should have not been on a WrestleMania. Up next, another match that should have not been on a WrestleMania. 2 big, muscle-bound, bodybuilding type guys, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, defeated the Warlord. And it was really boring. British Bulldog was a great wrestler. He could have a lot of great matches with a lot of great people, but versus the Warlord was not great. It was pretty damn boring. Should not have been on WrestleMania. Nasty Boys, the challengers, were taking on the Hart Foundation. They were the tag team champs. Nasty Boys win the tag team titles with help from their manager, Jimmy Hart. He threw his helmet in, biker helmet, Nasty Boys helmet, threw it in the ring. I believe Brian Knobbs used it. Maybe Jerry Sags used the helmet to cheat, and they won the tag team titles. So good for the Nasty Boys. They were new to the WWF. It was the right decision to give them the tag team titles. Hart Foundation, excellent, fantastic tag team. One of the greatest in WWF, WWE history. Up next, after the Nasty Boys win the tag team titles, you had the blindfold match. Jake the Snake defeated Rick Martel in 8 minutes 34 seconds. It was a fun match to watch. Jake the Snake was blindfolded, Rick Martel was blindfolded. Jake the Snake was pointing out, and the crowd was involved. They were screaming, they were yelling, they were really into the blindfold match. He was pointing where is Rick Martel so you could find him and attack him. And the fans were helping Jake the Snake, and they did not help out Rick Martel at all. That was funny. And I believe the finish was Martel basically got hit with a DDT and it was over. And the build-up to this storyline for the blindfold match was on the Brother Love show, which was an interview segment show like the highlight reel or any other. What was Edge's? Edge had a interview type show. Forgot what it was called. I don't remember what Edge's was called. The Rated R. I don't remember something. The Rated R Superstar show or something. Christian had an interview show. It was called The Peep Show. It was like basically all the interview shows are a ripoff of Piper's Pit, the original interview show. And Roddy Piper did it best, in my opinion. So Rick Martel had his arrogance spray, whatever the hell that was. If it was a man's cologne or some chemical inside that bottle, his arrogance, he sprayed in the eyes of Jake the Snake. I was 7 years old at the time. I thought it was real. I thought Rick Martel really blinded Jake the Snake, and I believed it, and that was pretty awesome. Anyways, Rick Martel blinds Jake the Snake on the Brother Love show to set up the blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. So that was great build-up, great storyline there. Up next you had The Undertaker with Paul Bearer, very new to the WWF, debuted at Survivor Series 90, so this was like 5 months. Undertaker's in WWF for only 5 months. The Undertaker defeated Jimmy Superfly Snuka in 4 minutes 20 seconds at his first WrestleMania to start the streak and kick the streak off with his first win at his first WrestleMania. The Undertaker started 1-0 back in 1991. Up next, the retirement match. The Ultimate Warrior, obviously everybody should know that is a fan of wrestling and that knows history. The Ultimate Warrior pinned Randy Macho Man Savage. So Macho Man Randy Savage had to retire. The story, the aftermath, after this match. I believe Macho Man hit 5 or 6 flying elbow drops on Warrior. That was awesome. but Warrior kept kicking, or he kicked out at the end. And this shows you, people, watch that match back, the finish where Warrior puts his foot on top of Macho Man's chest for the 1, 2, 3 and the pinfall victory. This shows you that right there. Shows you that Macho Man Randy Savage had no ego at all. The guy was a class act. The guy was a professional. And the guy put over other wrestlers. He put over the Ultimate Warrior. He let his foot go on his chest to lose at WrestleMania of all events. To have the Warrior put his foot over the legendary Macho Man. That was a hell of a push. That was Macho Man had to really believe and really like the Warrior to let him do that. That shows you Macho Man had no ego. Also, not only did Macho Man put over Warrior, but he later on in his career he put over Diamond Dallas Page. And I'll talk about that when they had their feud in '97. At the end of the match, as I said, the aftermath was emotional. It was awesome, and it was emotional. You had Sherri, Sensational Sherri, turn on the Macho Man, start kicking him and beating him up because she was angry. He lost. So she started kicking him. Elizabeth was in the crowd. Miss Elizabeth was in the crowd. Before the match, Bobby Heenan on commentary even pointed it out and told Gorilla, or told somebody, I think Roddy Piper was even on commentary with Gorilla and Bobby. Bobby Heenan said to the camera, "Hey, isn't that Elizabeth?" In the crowd, isn't that Elizabeth right there? And the camera went on Elizabeth. It was her. She looked a little bit different. I think she had her hair shorter, and it might have been dyed brown or dyed red or something. Different hair color, and it was shorter. But it was Elizabeth. And she's a very, very attractive woman. Elizabeth she had a gorgeous, gorgeous face. And she was gorgeous, and she was the first lady of the WWF. That's a damn shame that Miss Elizabeth is gone. And that she passed away. That's a damn shame. So, Elizabeth runs to the ring. I believe she grabbed Sherri by the hair. I think. I haven't watched the end of the match in probably over a year. But I believe she grabbed Sherri, threw her out of the ring. And then Macho Man was in shock. He was staring down Elizabeth. Elizabeth did not know what to do. She was staring down the Macho Man. And basically, Macho Man opened his hands up and told her, "Come, give me a hug. Let's get back together." I believe they are still married at the time in real life. I don't know when they got divorced. It was probably 92 or 93. I don't know the year they got divorced. But it was a storyline that WWF and Vince McMahon or somebody decided they wanted to get Miss Elizabeth back together with a Macho Man on television and have their characters be back together. So Miss Elizabeth hugs Randy Savage. I believe she was crying. Randy was emotional. The fans got emotional. They cried, and I don't blame them. It was a very touching, very emotional moment to watch Miss Elizabeth and Randy hug and get back together at WrestleMania 7. And just think about this. The wrestling fans out there, just think about Warrior, Savage, Miss Elizabeth, and Sherri are all gone. They're all gone. They have all passed away. That is just tragic and very sad and depressing to think about. Sherri, Warrior, Miss Elizabeth, Randy Savage, all involved in that match in WrestleMania 7, and they're no longer with us. That's a damn shame. Damn shame. Well, after that match, up next was a team from Japan, I believe from All Japan Pro Wrestling. Tenryu, I think you said his name like Tenryu, some other guy, took on Demolition, Smash, and Crush. Axe was gone in 91, so he's no longer a part of the Demolition. So the New Japan Pro Wrestling team defeated the New Demolition. And that match was only 4 minutes, 40 seconds. I guess they're running out of time. Who knows? Up next, Big Boss Man defeated Intercontinental Champion Mr. Perfect by disqualification. And Haku and the Barbarian interfered in that. I believe Andre the Giant came back and showed up for one night only during this Intercontinental title match. Andre came out, I think he had crutches. He had 2 crutches attached to his forearms. He was in really bad shape. He could not even walk around anymore without crutches. It was sad to watch, sad to see, but Andre returned and it was good to see Andre. So Big Boss Man wins by disqualification, does not win the Intercontinental title. Up next, you had the Earthquake defeat Greg Valentine in 3 minutes, 14 seconds. Pretty pointless match. Should have not been on WrestleMania. The Legion of Doom in another pointless tag team match. The first ever WrestleMania for the Road Warriors. The Legion of Doom defeated Power and Glory in 59 seconds. The team of Power and Glory were Hercules and Paul Roma. Up next, Virgil made his WrestleMania in-ring debut, defeated $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase in 7 minutes, 41 seconds by countout. I believe Roddy Piper came down to the ring. He was on crutches because he was in a motorcycle accident. So he was on crutches. He came out. I'm sure if he wasn't injured, Roddy Piper would have probably had a match on WrestleMania 7, but he was injured. So Piper was helping Virgil, and he was basically Virgil's mentor. And I believe they even said Roddy Piper trained Virgil to start wrestling. That's not true, but that was a storyline. I believe Virgil versus Ted DiBiase was for the $1 million belt. But it was very short, only 7 minutes. Could have been way longer. Up next, the Mountie defeated Tito Santana in 1 minute, 21 seconds. I don't know what the finish was, and I'm glad I don't know, because it'd probably just piss me off. On to the main event. The WWF champion, Sergeant Slaughter, the Iraqi, turned his back on America. Sergeant Slaughter taking on the American hero, Hulk Hogan. This was a decent match. Hogan bled in it, where at the time in 1990, and even 89, and 88, and 91, there was no blood ever really in the WWF on pay-per-view. You never saw guys bleed. The only guys that I've seen bled were Hogan at WrestleMania 5, and WrestleMania 7 was allowed to bleed. King Kong Bundy, WrestleMania 2, was allowed to bleed in the cage. And then at WrestleMania 3, I believe Billy Jack Haynes bled a little bit when Hercules had a chain wrapped around his fist and he punched Billy Jack Haynes in the forehead, and Billy Jack Haynes bladed and bled. So you think about the entire 80s. I mean, Hogan bled a lot. At a lot of house shows that were recorded on video. Hogan bled in a lot of title matches in Boston, at the Boston Garden. I have the videos on DVD. Hogan bled against Kamala in a title match in Boston. He bled against the Macho Man in Boston in '86 in a title match. He bled, I believe, against Harley Race at Madison Square Garden. Or Harley Race came out in Boston after Hogan won, and Harley Race hit Hogan with the title or with his crown, and Hogan bled a lot. So Hogan was allowed to bleed a lot at a lot of house shows, but they were taped for, I guess, television in Boston and television in New York on the MSG network, and the WWE still owns all those videos of their house shows. You can watch them on the network in the old school category on demand. Actually, Hogan versus Kamala is on demand on the network in the old school section. Hogan versus Kamala, you can see Hogan bleeds a lot in that match. So Hogan wins the WWF Championship for the third time. I think it was the third time. Maybe it was this, yeah, the third time. Second time he defeated Randy Savage. Hogan wins the title for the third time at WrestleMania 7. And this was odd. After Hogan won the title, he's walking in the dressing room. Mean Gene was interviewing him, and he opened a locker room door, and Sergeant Slaughter was in there with the Saddam Hussein lookalike. Not Saddam. Saddam Hussein lookalike. And Sergeant Slaughter throws a goddamn fireball right in the face and in the eyes of Hogan. I guess as to continue their feud to go on, because after WrestleMania 7, Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter had a boot camp match at Madison Square Garden. They put it on a Best of Hulkamania video. I own it. I've seen it. It's a pretty good boot camp match. And Hogan and Slaughter both bleed in it. It's a pretty decent match. I believe Hogan was the champion. This was after WrestleMania 7, and Hogan did defend the title in the boot camp match. I went on a bit long talking about WrestleMania 7. So I'm going to talk about WCW Super Brawl now. Super Brawl 1, May 19th, 91 from St. Petersburg, Florida. First pay-per-view match was the Freebirds won the U.S. Tag Team titles. The U.S. Tag Team titles were vacated. So the Freebirds won the U.S. Tag Team titles. They defeated the Young Pistols. Up next, Dan Spivey defeated Ricky Morton in 3 minutes. Pretty boring match. Nikita Koloff defeated Tommy Rich in 4 minutes. Another boring match. Dustin Rhodes defeated Terry Taylor. He was called Terrence Taylor. He has this stupid gimmick of the tailor-made man. And then they started that York Foundation group. That was stupid. So Dustin Rhodes defeated Terrence Taylor. And Terrence Taylor had his bodyguard, Mr. Hughes, with him. And he accidentally hit Terry Taylor with a loaded glove. So that's how Dustin Rhodes won. Big Josh. Originally, Big Josh was the first Doink the Clown. In late 92 into 93 in the WWF, Big Josh was Doink the Clown, for you people out there that did not know that. Big Josh defeated Black Bart. Black Bart was some jobber that wore black leather and had a cowboy hat on. He was a fucking joke. He should have not been on a pay-per-view. He shouldn't even been paid. He sucked. WCW shouldn't even hired him. He looked like a jobber. He had no wrestling skills. He looked like a homeless man. I don't know Black Bart personally, but he was a lousy wrestler, in my opinion. And WCW just wasted their money paying the man. But they wasted a lot of money. In 1990 and 91, 92, they lost a lot of money. Up next was just Oz. Kevin Nash. He was Oz. The great Oz. And I don't have the words. I don't know what to say about this match. And I don't know what to say about Oz. It was a Dusty Rhodes idea. Was Oz. It's so ridiculous to look back at Oz at Super Brawl 1 and his entrance. There was a goddamn castle by the entrance. They set up a castle. I don't know how they got it there. They must have built it. It was probably built out of foam rubber. Just looked cheap. They're bringing Oz out. They had pyro for Oz. They had the Grand Wizard accompanied Oz walking slowly to ringside. And for some reason, with the Grand Wizard behind them, you had what's her name? Dorothy from the movie Wizard of Oz. You had Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man, and the Lion walking behind the Grand Wizard, and that was just god-awful stupid. It was stupid, it was awful, it was just so bad. I can't believe that Dusty Rhodes came up and thought that if Dusty, and it was his entire idea to come up with that gimmick, and to have Wizard of Oz characters accompany Oz to ringside, that was one of the worst gimmicks in the history of the business, was Oz. Oz is up there as one of the worst in history, in my opinion. Oz is up there with the Red Rooster. Oh, my goodness, it was bad. Really bad. But WCW did a lot of bad, stupid-ass gimmicks, cartoonish gimmicks in 91. They were like a cartoon, some of their characters. And not a good cartoon, a bad, awful shit, just dog shit smelling, god-awful gimmicks. A lot of them. Oz was god-awful. PN News was god-awful. A lot of them. So Oz defeated, and then you have such a god-awful gimmick like Oz after he took his rubber mask off. Kevin Nash, I think they had contacts in his eyes. He looked insane, and he had silver hair. That didn't help Oz get over at all. He was never going to get over. I felt bad that Kevin Nash even had to go through with being Oz and try to get Oz over because he couldn't get it over. Nobody could get Oz over. Not even Macho Man. Not even Stone Cold. Nobody could have. It was that bad. But I understand Kevin Nash was just doing Oz because Dusty Rhodes wanted him to do it, and it was a paycheck, and I'm sure Kevin Nash needed that paycheck. So it's not Kevin Nash's fault at all that he was Oz and he had to play him. And Oz defeated Tim Parker in 26 seconds. That match was awful. It wasn't even a match. It was just absolute crap. Elegante in a stretcher match. This was god-awful also. Two big giants that couldn't work very well. Sid was not a great worker in 91. He was much better in 96. So Sid was not very good at all in 91 or 92. Sid Elegante. Elegante defeated Sid in 2 minutes, 13 seconds, and that match was crap. Should never been on Super Brawl. Ever. Whoever booked the show, if it was Dusty, a lot of Super Brawl 1 was bad. Thunderdome cage match. I don't know why they called it the Thunderdome cage, because it was a regular cage and the cage was only 8 or 9 feet tall. Maybe a little taller. It was a small little cage. It wasn't a Thunderdome cage. It was a regular steel cage. Around the ring apron. Ron Simmons defeated his former partner Butch Reed from Doom in 9 minutes, 39 seconds in a cage match. Rick and Scott Steiner. Now this was a great tag match. Very entertaining on Super Brawl 1. Steiner brothers defeated Lex Luger and Sting. And that was for the tag team titles. Steiner's retained. That was a highlight for Super Brawl 1. Another good match was a television title match. Bobby Eaton defeated television champion Arn Anderson to win the TV title. That was a good match. Another good match was the main event. Ric Flair defending the World Championship. Nature Boy Ric Flair defeated Tatsumi Fujinami in 18 minutes, 39 seconds. That was a very good wrestling match. Fujinami and Ric Flair, two absolute pros and great wrestlers and great workers. Fujinami this year just went in the Hall of Fame. For you people that don't know him, he got in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's a legend from Japan. Up next, I'll talk about Clash of Champions. What was it? June 12th, 1991, Clash of Champions. I'm going to try to go quick. Because I don't want this video to go 50 minutes. That's very long, but I can't help it. Clash of Champions 91. This was Clash of Champions 15 from Knoxville, Tennessee. The Young Pistols and Tom Zink defeated the Freebirds and Bad Street. Bad Street was a masked man, had a mask on, and he was a generic, stupid gimmick, along with the Freebirds. So the Young Pistols and Tom Zink beat the Freebirds and Bad Street. Up next, Oz again. Kevin Nash as Oz. Oz was awful. Really bad. And when I got the network, I had to check out how bad Oz was. And it was bad. It was an awful gimmick. I already said that. One of the worst in history. Oz defeated Johnny Rich. Maybe it was Tommy Rich. I don't know. It says Johnny Rich. Dan Spivey up next defeated Big Josh. Big Josh, as I said, was the original Doink the Clown. And he did great, and he played Doink the Clown great. Once he got out of WCW and went to the WWF. Ricky Morton and Curtis Hughes interfered when Dustin Rhodes defeated Terrence Taylor by disqualification. Ricky Morton and Curtis Hughes were part of the York Foundation. At least Ricky Morton was, with Terrence Taylor and Dustin Rhodes' wife, Terry. Terry Reynolds was a manager of the York Foundation. I forget what the hell her name was. Alexander York was her name in WCW. Up next, you had pretty good match. Sting defeated Nikita Koloff. They were feuding at the time, and they would have another match at the next pay-per-view, Great American Bash 91, in a Russian chain match. Up next, Barry Windham and Arn Anderson defeated the team of Brian Pillman and El Gigante. This match was decent only because of Brian Pillman and the stuff he did in it. He did some high-flying moves off the top to the outside. That was good to see. So Wyndham and Arn Anderson defeated El Gigante and Brian Pillman. I think I already said that. The Diamonds... No, before that. The Steiner brothers defeated another team from New Japan or All Japan Pro Wrestling. Steiners defeated Masahiro Chono and I can't pronounce the other dude's name. A Japanese guy. So the Steiners defeat them. It was a pretty damn good tag match. It was entertaining. All the Steiners matches in the early 90s were entertaining. The Diamond Stud. Who is the Diamond Stud? He was Scott Hall. Playing the Diamond Stud. He had a little bit of Razor Ramon in him. If you listen to the Diamond Stud talk, couple promos he did, he had a toothpick in his mouth. You'd even throw it at the camera. And he had his other catchphrase. He would say to the camera when he was a Diamond Stud, "I'm the bad guy." So he had that going for him. WCW, the idiots that were in control, didn't see anything in Scott Hall and they let him go. And he basically left as a Diamond Stud and took part of the Diamond Stud with him when he became Razor Ramon. Up next, not up next, Diamond Stud defeated Tommy Rich. That match was probably really short. I believe he hit a Razor's Edge on Tommy Rich, and I think it was called the Diamond Death Drop. But it was a Razor's Edge. U.S. title match. Lex Luger defended and defeated the Great Muta. This was an entertaining match. Muta did a springboard. He did a cartwheel, and then he did a springboard and a backflip over the top rope, over the turnbuckles, over the ring post, onto the floor, and he almost flew. He flew over the top rope, and he almost landed in the front row over the guardrail. It was amazing to see him do that backflip, and he landed on his feet over the top rope. He lands on his feet to the floor. That was damn impressive. I could never do that. And Muta was an all-time great, hell of an athlete, hell of a talent. Lex Luger defeats the Great Muta to keep the U.S. title. Stone Cold, not Stone Cold, he wasn't. He was Stunning Steve Austin defeated Joey Maggs. This was one of Steve Austin's first big WCW Clash of Champions and big events. And he was also on their next pay-per-view. WCW World Champion Ric Flair was defending against TV Champion Bobby Eaton. It was the best of 2 out of 3 falls match. Or best of 3 falls match. This was a great match. Really good match to end Clash of Champions 14. Ric Flair defeated Bobby Eaton. That was a great match. Now I'm going to talk about Great American Bash 91. And then I'll be done with part 2 of this video. If you're still watching, thank you. First match, Great American Bash 91 was from Baltimore, Maryland. First match on the pay-per-view was Bobby Eaton and PN News taking on Terrence Taylor and Steve Austin. Stunning Steve Austin in a scaffold match. It was basically a scaffold was set up above the ring, and whoever captured the other team's flag won. This match was crap. It was stupid. The idea of having a scaffold match and not having anybody take a bump off the scaffold was stupid and a bad idea. To have a scaffold match and just make it a capture the other team's flag match, that was fucking stupid and pointless. to put on a pay-per-view. Very dumb to have a scaffold match and not have it be a real scaffold match. So who cares who won that? I already said Bobby Eaton and PN News won, but nobody cared. The crowd was pretty dead and no one cared. That they were capturing the other team's flag, nobody fucking cared. Up next was the Diamond Stud again. Scott Hall had a lot of Razor Ramon type antics before Razor Ramon. He did a lot of stuff that Razor Ramon did. Diamond Stud was with Diamond Dallas Page. He was the Diamond Stud's manager. And DDP was great at cutting promos and great on the microphone in 91. Diamond Stud defeated the Z-Man. Up next was Ron Simmons defeated Oz. Thank God, because Oz was awful. Thank God Oz disappeared. I think after 1991, Oz was gone. Thank God. Then you had another awful gimmick for Kevin Nash. Let's give him another bad gimmick. And let's call him Vinny Vegas. Because that's a great idea. No, it wasn't. It was bad. Bad idea. Really bad. Okay, so Ron Simmons defeated Oz. That was boring. Ricky Morton defeated his former tag team partner, Robert Gibson. They were the Rock and Roll Express for years and years and years. This was a pretty good match. Good storytelling in it. I enjoyed it. Ricky Morton wins. 6-man elimination match. You had the Young Pistols and Dustin Rhodes defeat the Freebirds and Bad Street. Up next, you had the Yellow Dog. The Yellow Dog was another god-awful crap gimmick given to Brian Pillman because I believe Pillman at our Clash of Champions 15 in June 91, Pillman lost and had to leave WCW, and then they came up with the Yellow Dog gimmick and they put a mask on Brian Pillman. It was a yellow mask and it was yellow tights for Brian Pillman to wear in probably yellow or white boots, and it was god awful. And at Great American Bash 91, if I remember right, the Yellow Dog, aka Brian Pillman, even came to ringside with a goddamn dog. He's walking a dog. He had a dog on a leash, walking down the ramp with a dog. That was god awful. Even as a 7-year-old boy, I thought that was stupid as hell to see a dog coming down the ringside with a wrestler. It was stupid and awful. I don't know why they decided to do that, because they wanted kids. I don't know. WCW was like a kid's product at the time, but it was awful. The dog was, I think it was a golden retriever. I'm not sure. Almost to 15 minutes here, so I'm going to go quick through Great American Bash. Up next was Yellow Dog defeated Johnny B. Bad by disqualification when Teddy Long interfered. Teddy Long was the manager of Johnny B. Bad at the time. Thank God that it's all over. I may just have to watch Yellow Dog on the network just to see him come to ringside with that dog so I can fucking laugh my ass off and get a laugh out of watching it. Because it was that ridiculous that now it would make me probably laugh and piss myself. It was so bad. Seeing a dog come to ringside with a guy named Yellow Dog wearing a yellow mask. Who booked this crap? I guess Dusty Rhodes thought of that idea. He did not have good ideas in 91. Not at all. Ugh. WCW had bad ideas until after Starrcade 91 into 92. They had much better in-ring action and matches when Bill Watts came in to run things. Cowboy Bill Watts came in to run WCW in 92 and got fired, I think, at the end of 92. Big Josh, again, on a WCW pay-per-view, defeated Black Blood. Black Blood was Billy Jack Haynes, for any of you that want to know. That match was shit. Should not be on Great American Bash. Elegante defeated One Man Gang. This was awful. Awful. One Man Gang was a great worker, great big man. I really enjoyed watching One Man Gang. I believe he is a Hall of Famer and he should get in the Hall of Fame. If Koko B. Ware is in the Hall of Fame, then just about anybody that worked in the 80s or 90s in the WWF should get in the Hall of Fame. One Man Gang was a great big man. But WCW didn't know what the fuck to do with the One Man Gang. Before the match, they put him with Kevin Sullivan. He had this crazy, insane theme song when he came to the ring at Great American Bash of these nuts in the background, these insane, mentally ill people screaming in his theme music. Go back and listen to it. These people were screaming like, ah! It was stupid and awful. But the only thing that was entertaining about Elegante and One Man Gang was the interview before the match. Kevin Sullivan talked. He said a lot of crazy shit, and it was pretty entertaining before the match. And you had One Man Gang in the background with his hair spiked up, and he had black paint under his eyes, and he looked insane, and he was making all these insane faces, and he was like talking to himself, and I thought that was pretty funny. That made me laugh. So that was entertaining before the match started, and it was awful. And then before the match started, Elegante came to ringside, and he had midgets. He had 3 to 4 midgets walking with him to the ringside. Why? I don't know. I think it was a Dusty Rhodes idea to have midgets come out with one of the tallest men in the world, Elegante. He was holding a midget on his shoulders, walking to ringside. That was just stupid. Then you had midgets come in the ring before the match, or when the match started. You had the midgets running around in circles around the One Man Gang. A midget bit him on the ass. It was stupid. It was way too stupid for me to enjoy. Elegante pinned One Man Gang. On to the next thing. Russian chain match. This was awesome. I enjoyed it. Nikita Koloff defeated Sting in 11 minutes, 39 seconds. It was a good Russian chain match. In a cage match, U.S. champion Lex Luger, to close the pay-per-view, to end it, defeated Barry Windham to win the vacated WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And the crowd, when Lex Luger was getting in the cage, or maybe Barry Windham was getting in the cage, the crowd was pissed, and they were angry, and they were chanting, "We want Flair, we want Flair." Why were they chanting that? Because Ric Flair left WCW. He was gone because of that dumb asshole jerk-off, Jim Herd, the guy that ran WCW, let Ric Flair go over a contract dispute, and he didn't want to pay Ric Flair what he wanted. He actually, Ric Flair, I believe, didn't ask for that much, and Jim Herd, when he was negotiating with Ric Flair, actually dropped his contract and said, "I'm going to pay you way less if you want to come back." And Ric Flair explained it on his DVD. It's on the network. One of his DVDs, he says, I basically told Jim Herd to go fuck himself, and that he was taking the NWA WCW world title with him, because Ric Flair owned that big title belt that eventually in the WWE years later in the 2000s became the World Heavyweight Championship. That belt Ric Flair took with him to the WWF because he could. He paid $25,000 for a deposit on the title, so it was his. And Jim Herd wouldn't pay Ric Flair the $25,000 to get the old belt back. So they came up with a new design for a WCW world title. It was a little belt. It was generic looking, and I always loved the design of the World Heavyweight Championship that the WWE retired last year. I always enjoyed the design and the look of that title. It was a great, great design and great title belt. So Ric Flair left because he had a contract dispute. He was gone from WCW. That was very shocking. It was even more shocking when he showed up in the WWF in September 91. And that was great. I was happy for Ric Flair. I was happy as a fan that he was going to work for the WWF. Fans were pissed. They were chanting, "We want Flair, we want Flair," and I don't blame them. They deserved to be pissed and angry that Ric Flair was not on the Great American Bash 91 because he should have been. But the asshole would not pay him what he wanted. And that dumbass Jim Herd also wanted to change Ric Flair's character and take away the Nature Boy character and give him some god-awful, stupid-ass Roman type character. And it was just stupid shit. I'm glad Ric Flair left because he couldn't take the stupidness of WCW and their dumb ideas anymore from that dumb jerk-off that should have never been in the wrestling business, Jim Herd. After Lex Luger wins a vacated world title, there was another match, and I'm sure they ran out of time because this match was the team of Rick Steiner and Missy Hyatt in a cage. I don't know why somebody would want Missy Hyatt in a cage in a wrestling match. She couldn't wrestle. Missy Hyatt and Rick Steiner defeated Paulie Dangerously and Arn Anderson in 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And that was just stupid to end the Great American Bash with that match. It was awful. It was just bad. They must have ran out of time on the pay-per-view, so they only win 2 minutes. That was the Great American Bash, 1991. Part 3 of the year in wrestling. I will talk about SummerSlam 91, another Clash of Champions, 2 more were held in 91, and I'll talk about Survivor Series 91, which was Ric Flair's WWF pay-per-view debut. Anyways, this video went very long. I apologize, but I talked about a lot of events, and I talked too much. I usually do talk too much when I'm talking about wrestling. I go on and on. Next video, I want it to be shorter. I might make a part 3 and part 4 of 1991 so these videos can be shorter. If you watch this, I'm sure you didn't watch the whole damn thing unless you had nothing else to do and you were bored out of your fucking skull. Thank you for watching some of this video, and if you watch the whole thing, thank you very much, and you didn't have to. Follow me on Twitter at TNA WWE Guy. Bye for now, everybody.